As a culture, it seems that we are really fascinated with the journey. It shows up in songs and in poetry, in books, in movies, on t-shirts, in tattoos. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's everywhere, and it's a really amazing thing. Check this out. All the synonyms for the word journey. And there are some great ones. Junket. I like junket. Pilgrimage, awesome. Quest. Transmigration. There's some fantastic words. So what is it about making this trek, this learning pilgrimage that humans find so appealing? What is that? And is it really just the journey and not the destination? Isn't it important to have a goal, to know where we're headed? And how will we know if we get there? And is getting there important? These are all the things I was mulling over in my head this week. And the thing is that we have to take the journey. Very rarely do I say must or have to. But we have to. Because, we're a choice, right? Always. We can change or not. We can grow or not. We can forgive. We can be present. We can participate. All of that or not. But the thing that's different about the journey is that whether we actively and consciously engage in it or not, it's still happening. The journey is moving. And it reminded me of the moving walkways they have at airports. When I was little, they were new. Moving walkways were new. And we lived an hour from the airport in Cleveland. That was before the highway was back in the days of buggies. It was like an hour drive to the airport. And on certain Saturdays, my dad would pile all of us girls in the car, and he would drive the hour to the airport so that we could play on the brand new moving walkways. Talk about creative play with your kids. So we would do this thing, and I remember thinking, I don't have to move, and I'm still going to get there. I can stand perfectly still, and I'm going. And that's what came to me about the journey, is life's journey it's going. And so whether or not we decide to stand right or pass left, whatever rule we follow, we're gonna be motivated, we're gonna be moving. And so there are, of course, moments where you want to take a time out from the journey. And that's completely acceptable. Silent retreats, meditation, just napping, sacred napping. It's a great time out from the journey. And that's important. However, if we're just following that rule of stand right and pass left, we're missing something. We're seeing it, it's going, we're not engaging. And there's so much to engage in. There's joy, there's grief, there's tragedy, there's success, there's all of it. And we can be in all of it. And so I was thinking about outer journeys, inner journeys, psychological journeys, emotional journeys. It's really rich. There's so much in there. And of course, before even this past weekend, I was thinking about the news. And how I do like to follow stories or revolutions or trials and see the journey that they go. And then I was thinking, oh my goodness, the presidential election, what a whopping huge example of a journey. Because it starts out that there's a truth presented. And then that truth goes on a journey as it unfolds of what's really true about that truth wasn't true at all. And so it becomes a new and different truth. And then it becomes more and more exposed. And then watching how the people change, how somebody can go from being a front runner to a non-starter in a heartbeat. One comment they make, and they're done. And the news is they're in the lead. They're out of the race. It's it's been 10 minutes. Holy mackerel. And then each of their journeys, and then our journey personally and as a country, as we take that step to vote and decide what's the journey of our next 4 years going to be. So it's this beautiful evolution of journeys, and so it can apply to so many things and so many more. And so I started thinking, okay, so break it down, Rachel. What is the journey? What is it? And I realized for me, it's about being in process. And I found this great quote by Christina Baldwin. She wrote, "Whatever else you think you're doing, whatever else you identify as happening, you are also in the middle of a spiritual journey. Spirituality is the sacred center out of which all life comes, including Mondays and Tuesdays and raining Saturday afternoons in all their mundane and glorious detail. The spiritual journey is what the soul is up to while we attend daily living." I love that. The spiritual journey is what the soul is up to while we attend to daily living. The spiritual journey is the soul's life commingling with ordinary life. And I would add the life journey physically, concretely itself. So there were two examples of the journey in my own experience that I wanted to share with you. And one was, for years I worked as an actor, and I loved rehearsal. The rehearsal room was magical because anything could happen. You could try this, you could try that, you could say the line loudly, softly, you could wear a bag over your head, whatever you wanted. Rehearsal was that time of formulating and creating and trying to figure out where you wanted to go with it. And it was an evolution, and it was ongoing. And the actual performing piece was never fulfilling for me, because for me, it felt like I'd arrived. Some actors continue to evolve during performance. My OCD child was like, no. Evolution is over, rehearsal is over, we're performing now. Don't change. And so I was tortured, and that's why I don't act anymore. But so for me, like the night of the performances was, and now I've arrived, and now I'm going to do this thing, and darn. And so the journey had ended. The other example I have was when we left Anchorage, we moved to Montera, California. Beautiful little blink of an eye town between Pacifica and Half Moon Bay on the coast. We lived in this sweet little house where you could hear the ocean in the living room because it was across the street. And it was just beautiful. And I went from having a date book, a schedule book that was jam-packed and whited out and written in, and all the corners were filled of places I had to be and things I had to do, and I was here, I was there, I was everywhere, to having nothing. It was blank. I didn't even need the date book anymore. There was nothing in it. And this was a little awkward at first. Actually, not at first. Well, yeah, it was. It was a little awkward at first. Because there I was in the house, this sweet little house, me, the dogs, the cat, the quiet, nowhere to be, nowhere to go. Nobody expected me anywhere, and not a lot of people knew me. And so Heather would go off to work, and I'd be in the house. Well, we could go to the dog park again. And it was this nothingness. And it was this very different journey from being busy, doing, to space. And I started calling it my goo time, which was the caterpillar is no more and the butterfly is not yet, and it's gooey. It's just kind of dark and gooey, and the good thing is the goo doesn't know that it's goo, so it doesn't sit there going, oh, goo. It doesn't feel bad about it. It just is, and it's just patient and waiting, and patience, of course, is one of my best qualities. And so I really had to settle into, this is a new and different journey. And this journey involves me doing nothing. This journey involves me waiting, listening, breathing. Very different journey. And it reminded me of my favorite character from the Hebrew Bible, Jacob. Jacob, who didn't believe in God for a long time and wouldn't even talk to God. And then did some things that caused him to have to run away from home with his wives and his cattle and his sheep and his children. And he got them all to safety, but he was still on the run. And he kept checking in with God, going, well, where am I supposed to go? And God would say, well, today you're going to get as far as this rock. And Jacob would go, okay, great. Then what's the plan? I'll tell you when you need to know. And it was this process of him going in stages. God said, I'll tell you in stages. I'll tell you what you need to know when you need to know it. Relax. And Jacob and I are very similar, where it's like, could I just get the map? Could I get the whole route so that I can then plan my stops? And Spirit's like, no, I don't really think so. You'll get to this rock and just take a rest. And then, of course, he wrestled with an angel and all some kinds of good things happened. So we're all on this journey. We're all in this process, each one of us, in different ways. And even when I feel or we have felt that we arrived somewhere, like, oh, this is it. This is my life. I got there. Another change, another event, another life moment is going to happen. It does happen. And we're like, oh. And here I am, back on the yellow brick road. And yes, I am going there. I'm going to the Wizard of Oz, because I have to. And the Wizard of Oz, the ultimate journey movie of all time. I love this movie. I even referred to this movie when we went, so we left Alaska, we went to California for a year, we went to Idaho for a year, Boise, Idaho for a year. I still giggle. But, and then we came home, and I call it my Dorothy journey, because I had to go somewhere to learn some things, to come back home to say, oh, now I can bring that stuff home with me. It was very important, and it really mirrors my life. And so the changes that I had to make 2 years ago or 3 years ago before we left, I don't think were possible to have been made if I hadn't left. And what needed to happen here couldn't have happened if we hadn't come home. So everything happened precise. It was perfect. It's perfect. So there are a few movies that are journey movies. And I was going to talk about all of them, but I didn't want you to panic. So I did this instead. I made a word cloud. This is just a handful of the movies. And this will be the last slide of the day. So before you leave, if there's more, if you want to check them out, that'll be on the last slide of the day. But each one of these movies and more is a journey. And some of them are physical journeys. Where is it? Oh, it's not there. Where did it go? There it is. Little Miss Sunshine, road trip movie. Leaving Normal, Thelma and Louise. I like to call Leaving Normal the kinder and gentler Thelma and Louise. It's Thelma and Louise without the gun. Those are very physical journey movies. Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, very internal journey movie of discovery. Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon, of course, a discovery movie. What Dreams May Come, an otherworldly journey movie. So there are so many, and yet they all have that same pull for us, is I was here, I knew this, and now I'm over here and I know this, and now I'm ready to go there and know that. And I love these. In addition to these, of course, we have our favorite animal journey movies, because they get theirs too. And by the way, I highly recommend this. The next time you watch Wizard of Oz, just watch Toto. She's having her own experience, and it's brilliant. There are moments where something's really important is happening on the screen, and there's Toto going, what? She's gone. She's like somebody was like, here's a cookie, Dorothy's over here, and Toto's like, I'm up having a drink. So these and more. And in addition to this, I wanted to share some stories with you of Heather's and my travels, because we have been together. We've been together 4 years, and we've been a lot of places. And each journey has taught us something very valuable. We were together 1 month before we drove to Haines to pick up a puppy. It was 750 one way. So 750 miles each way. Talk about a chance to get to know each other. Good thing we got along, because I could have been left in toke. We traveled just a few months later to Italy, took trains. I love trains. Trains, another moving walkway experience where you can sit on the train and read, or you can look out the window and see amazing things and engage in them. When we first moved from Alaska to California, we had this great experience of driving and driving and driving. We drove to Idaho, we officiated a wedding, we drove through the redwood forest at 11 o'clock at night, exhausted, and then we got to the Golden Gate Bridge. We're like, oh, we made it. It's 12:30 at night and we're here, and we crossed the Golden Gate Bridge triumphant, and we get to the side where you enter into San Francisco and there's a toll booth. I didn't know there was a toll booth. $6. $6 and we're home. Here's a debit card. We don't take debit cards. We don't have cash. I'm like, well, do we have to leave? Like, are you going to turn us back? What are we going to do? Oh, no, it's okay. Go ahead on through. So we're figuring, oh, they're going to take a picture of our license plate. And apparently they didn't, and we never had to pay to get into San Francisco. It was lovely. So we thought that was a sign. We've been welcomed for free. And then, of course, driving from Boise home to Anchorage with a camper, 2 dogs, a cat, in 10 below or more degree weather, sleeping in the camper with the 2 dogs and the cat in snow and ice and gunfire and all kinds of things. And our mantra for that trip became, this is fun. And then we have journeys planned ahead. We have journeys awaiting us. One of the movies that is on the screen is The Way with Martin Sheen, and it's a beautiful movie, and it talks about the Camino de Santiago, which is an 800-kilometer pilgrimage from, and I'm going to try my best French, Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port to the Cathedral of Santiago, St. James in Galicia, Spain. And it's a pilgrimage. People used to carry crosses walking this. And so it ranges from just your everyday, hey, I want to do this walk, to people in their 60s and 70s who are walking this as a sign of triumph. There's the path of Don Quixote, where you can actually walk the route that he traveled. And it's a 2,500-kilometer walk through parts of Spanish interior. And you can actually see the big giant windmills that he tilted at, the evil giants that he wanted to battle against. They have been restored, and they're in El Toboso, which is near, if you're familiar with the story, Dulcinea's home. There's the Camino de Francesco, Brother Francis's walk from Citerna to Rome, which is another one I want to do. And we also would like to drive to Iowa to get married on the Field of Dreams. So and yet each one of those journeys has its own significance. Some are spiritual, some are legal, some are historical. And so even our daily journeys of getting up, brushing our teeth, going to work, it doesn't have to be mundane. It's our journey for that day. It's our experience for that day. You get to choose your journey. And this hit me in the shower, as always, these brilliant thoughts in the shower. I need a recorder. That even though we may not be changed because of whatever journey are on, we may not be changed, let me phrase this. We may not be changed because of the journey. We will always be changed by it. I had conditioner in my eye, but it was really deep at that moment. And I thought, wow. So whether or not I'm actually participating, there's a change happening. How powerful is that? So I want to close with 2 quotes, and I'm putting them up here because I think they're really powerful. I'm going to read them, but I wanted you to see them as well. The first is from Viktor Frankl. Everyone has his own specific vocation or mission in life. Everyone must carry out a concrete assignment that demands fulfillment. Therein he cannot be replaced, nor can his life be repeated. Thus, everyone's task is unique as his specific opportunity, his or her. And then the other is from Divine Discourse from 1968. This life is part of the long pilgrimage you entered when you were born. which may not end even when you die. Never forget this fact. Be pure, alert, and humble as pilgrims are. Treasure the good things and the truths you see and hear. Use them as props and promptings for further stages of your soul's journey. So as we move into prayer, I just want to invite you to ponder what journey you're on, what journey and what stage of the journey and where things are. And so if you feel comfortable bringing your stone down during the prayer, you may, or you can always bring it down after the service is over. But focusing in that energy there, just taking this moment to take a deep breath. What I know to be true is that we are each, as Macbeth says, we are each individual players on the stage, having our experience. Spirit has no accident. Spirit placed each of us on this planet at this moment, in this room, together, to grow deeper and to grow stronger and to be more wise and aware of what our journey is. So knowing that God is truly the divine director, the essence of love, the only activity that is ever taking place is this spiritual essence that breathes us and lives us and moves us and shows us in stages where we need to go next. I affirm and declare now that we each awaken to that information. We awaken to what's calling us. We awaken to where the route is pointing. On the Camino de Santiago, there are yellow signs that tell you you're on the right path. It's like Spirit guiding. And so I invite each one of us, including myself today, to open our eyes, open our minds, open our hearts to see those signs, to see those directions, so that we know, yes, this is the path I want to be on. And even more so, to recognize when we're on a path we don't want to be on, we can turn around. We can double back. We can take a shortcut through a swamp. We can go any direction we want as long as we're listening deeply and saying, guide me, inner voice, inner knowing, inner spirit, guide me. I'm ready, I'm listening, I've let go of my map, and I'm following what I know to be true. This I know today for myself, for each person here, for each person with us in consciousness, for each person with us not in consciousness, for each person in America today who is struggling to find understanding and clarity. What I'm knowing is that Spirit is guiding each of us. And when we trust and know, then each step we take is easy and effortless and clear. The path is made way for us. So whatever challenge is happening, whatever struggle may be thrown in our way, what I know today right now is God, as the activity of love, the activity of light, the activity of guidance and wisdom, is already saying yes. Yes, I know. Yes, I hear. It's okay. I've got this. I've got this covered. Lean in and trust me. I've got it. And so with deep gratitude, I release this stone. With deep gratitude, I release any burden. I release any attachment. And I say yes to this journey. Yes, I will take it. And I will walk bravely and courageously and strongly and joyously, and I'll sing as loud as I can. Thank you, God. Knowing this is good and all good. I embrace each one of us, sealing the deal with an Amen, Ashe, Ashe.